G'day everyone, Jason Nunn, Fisherman's Warehouse, Tuckerwat Marks Point, with a late Friday fishing report. Of course, beautiful blue sky here at the moment and a little bit of onshore breeze. Guys, this is exactly what's going to happen over the next 4 to 5 days. Easterly or east-northeast winds. They're not going to really get up in any great height, but it's certainly going to be there. And with a bit of luck, they're sort of saying the odd shower possible there on Sunday. Who knows, you know, it's just sort of up to the weather gods at the present moment. Had a bit of look at sea surface temperature yesterday out wide. We have got a big current, a big downwelling off the shelf here at the moment, off our part of the coastline. Current running downhill as of yesterday, 2.8 knots. So it's actually burning down. There is an upwelling to the north, so it just depends on how quickly this downwelling moves south. So we've just got to watch that over the next few days. But couldn't get a good read on temperature, but a belting current, and it's not what we want to see at this time of year. Hopefully by next week, we'll see some sort of, it settle down a little bit and give us a little bit more encouragement. On those inshore reefs, there's been a little bit of really current also on the farm in that area. There's been a bit of uphill current on patches of the farm, and obviously as you move down south, it swings around. So still kingies down south and still some really nice snapper on those deep water reefs, but I just think the inshore is still worth a go, guys. Still no bonito around, so no real pelagic activity. I know there's just like oodles of big cow and young / yellowtail out there physically at the moment on all of those reefs, but we're still seeing flathead, mowies, still getting a few trag, and there's still some very nice snapper on these inshore reefs. And these snapper are right up along the coast, particularly north of Port Stephens, up towards Seals Rocks, Broughton Island, those sorts of areas up there. Some very big snapper over the last few weeks in that shallow water. But again, they will be on our inshore reefs here. And you've got some good tides this weekend too. You've got a low tide right on 7, but it's that afternoon tide around about 1:30. So it gives you the opportunity to just be a little bit more diverse and then physically move around. The water temperature is slowly picking up on the beach. Still the odd salmon, still the odd tailor, but just a couple of whiting. And this week in particular, some very good whiting getting caught up around the Blacksmiths area. And that will be the same as what's going on up at Stockton. We'll start to see a lot more of those whiting on the inside of Stockton breakwater as well as the outside, as we are now seeing up at Blacksmith. So we're really starting to see now a real increase in the numbers of these whiting. And of course, really the key point of the report today is going to be really centred on the prawn run, our November run. It'll start on Tuesday night, so Melbourne Cup Day night as it were. It'll be on, so just on dark it'll come. Now this is the biggest of the runs all year. This is where we see more prawns and bigger prawns. And basically what's happening here on the estuary behind us here, the fish are now starting to move in big numbers. There's a lot of whiting up along the sand flats here at the moment. We're getting some really good reports. Again, we always talk about it, the tube worms in particular, working not only well in the estuary, but that is really the favourite that's getting used on the wall, and particularly nowadays on the beaches. The tube worms themselves are working fantastically on these whiting and brim right throughout. Now, big brim, you'll see a lot of brim around, but the evening is when you're going to start to see a lot more brim, particularly on the flats and particularly on your edges, up towards Valentine along those edges, Cardiff Point, in and around, Green Point, as you move along the edge inside Belmont Bay, and in particular down around Nesca Park. So you've just got to be a little bit patient and always try to fish, guys, the last of the tides when you're fishing any of this tidal movement, the last of the run in or the last of the run out. So it's really a preferred current. And then probably, as you can see here now behind me here at Pelican, the current is just now starting to back off and the water has got really good colour. I think that's because we've had so many days of southerly. It'll start to swing to the easterly, but I don't think we're going to have that effect where it will roll over, because it's not those big nor'easters which often hit us at this time of the year. Still some really nice kings in the lake, guys, and the lake itself fishing really well. I was talking to a good mate, Steve Norris, for the week. He's been able to catch quite a few flathead and a few bigger fish up around that sort of 70 and 80, but a lot of smaller fish, which is what we would expect. But he even had a big patch of kingies just carving the surface up. So we're now starting to even see kingfish build in numbers and turn up in these isolated schools to bust all those garfish up in particular. Haven't been a lot of squid around in the lake. There's just a few, but from next week on, when this prawn run starts, you'll see a real increase in squid, not only in the channel, which will benefit the guys fishing for kings down to the bridge, but you'll see an increase up at the drop over as these squid come down and feed on these prawns during the evening. Mulloway, there's been some really good mulloway around. I just did my little clinic with the St Mary's guys. One of the young fellas there caught a cracking dew on the weekend, 10 kilo. Put a lot of hours in on it. One live squid, one fish 10 kilo. So it just goes to show you've got to be prepared to put the time in, but there's still some very nice reds actually getting caught in the lake as well. Still a few crabs around, and that will now continue as we get into November, guys. There's still plenty of blue swimmers, and I haven't really heard of many watery fish, watery crabs, so that mating process hasn't sort of started, so there's still some very good quality crabs in the lake. But I think the highlight, guys, has got to be the prawn run. We're going to go back into that dark, so I just think over the next week, really going to come of age. Now, something that's sort of happened a little bit strange, only brought to my attention today, those guys that go up to Coal Tea Creek. Coal Tea Creek at the moment, the passageway into Coal Tea Creek is now being blocked off. Yeah, I know. So they're not sure, they just use rocks, not pontoons. We had a bit of a discussion on it today. So apparently with the works going on for the basically the Fernley Track extension, they've now blocked off Coal Tea Creek, which we now blocked off for, they tell us, estimated 10 weeks. So watch this space on that. And I know a lot of guys will be raising some eyebrows, and as I did, probably worth the phone call. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to DPI about that this week. Hopefully the weather stays good. I think it is. A few boats out here now because it's Friday afternoon. See you next Friday.